The verse flows throughout Aquaria, through each ripple and wave, through every living being. The verse binds us all as one. The verse binds us, narrator and explorer. My story will become your own, and yours will become mine. You will live my life through my eyes, and you will learn the truth.
I don't know much about indie games. I have shied away from them in the past because I have always been of the opinion that they come with simple, archaic gameplay mechanics, visuals that belong in the SNES era and tinny electronic blip sound effects, and I held quite firmly to this belief until I stumbled across BitBlot's Aquaria. Aquaria is sort of a cross between Castlevania Symphony of the Night and Echo the Dolphin. You control the creature Naja, who conveniently starts the game without any memories. Amnesia is a plot device that often puts me off a game's story, but Aquaria's story is very, very hard to dislike. The history of Aquaria is rich and detailed, and it's gradually revealed through cutscenes that are, thanks to the great voice work and beautiful art, genuinely fun to watch. You begin the game with no real abilities, besides being able to swim around and sing. Pointing your cursor in a direction and hitting the left mouse button will let you swim around the environment, while holding the right mouse button brings up a radio menu where you can select notes for Naja to sing by mousing over them. Singing at first seems like a rather peculiar and quite pointless, albeit beautiful, gameplay mechanic, but you'll quickly find that singing has all manner of awesome uses. Initially you will find that plants of various colours can be burst open by singing the corresponding colour-coded note, and you can collect the goodies inside these plants. These goodies are used in cooking, but I'll get into that later. As neat as harvesting underwater crops is, you quickly learn your first actual song. By singing a particular string of notes in sequence, you can activate a brief shield that will protect you from environmental dangers. It's an especially useful tool, as Naja has no weapons at this point. Your next song, which you learn after an encounter with some ancient and mysterious sea creature, will allow you to grab hold of heavy objects, like rocks, and carry them around the environment. Armed with this new ability, you will now have access to areas where rocks previously blocked your path. You'll continue to acquire several new abilities that will help you advance through previously blocked areas, just like games like Metroid or Castlevania Symphony of the Night. And this makes the game very non-linear. You'll have some pretty huge areas to explore, and with every new ability you'll have access to several new areas all at once. A detailed map keeps track of where you have and haven't been, as well as places of interest like save points or giant turtles you can use to teleport around the game world. While there are particular areas you need to go to advance the story, you're rewarded for exploring the other areas through treasures you can use to decorate your home cave, as well as other neat stuff like costumes for Naja to wear or pets who will help you fight your enemies. You will eventually learn a song that transforms Naja into an energy form. In this form, Naja loses the ability to sing, which means she loses all her other abilities. But she gains the ability to fire powerful balls of energy, which lets her fight her enemies. Other forms you'll collect throughout the game impart similar unique abilities, like a beast form that lets Naja swim through strong currents, while a sunshine form lets you pass through areas with no light. Combat is about as hectic as a side-scroller. You click to shoot and your shots automatically target nearby enemies, which is useful because you will often have to navigate through swarms of enemies and projectiles flying everywhere. And aiming with your mouse while also directing Naja's movements with your mouse will be almost impossible. But this doesn't trivialise the combat at all, as you're always going to be busy either shooting or manoeuvring between enemies. It's never just mindless clicking. There are also other ways of killing your enemies. In beast form, Naja can eat her enemies, which also gives her brief access to any projectile weapons that enemy may have had. There are many different enemies in the game, ranging from jellyfish and sharks to mechanical snails, and they all have unique forms of attack. Some will throw things at you or shoot things at you, others will walk along walls and leap at you if you get too close, while others will chase after you and ram into you. You have to devise unique strategies for almost every enemy type, and while this is nothing complicated, it does keep you on your toes during the combat, especially when fighting multiple enemy types. And what underwater platformer / sort of side-scroller-ish hybrid would be complete without epic boss battles? Thankfully, Aquaria has some awesome bosses. They are suitably huge, and fighting them is always more than just blasting away. There are minor puzzles to solve and strategies to adopt as a means of killing these bosses, which makes every encounter a unique and exciting challenge. That said, figuring out how to take down each boss can take multiple attempts, and because save points are never located as close to the bosses as they might be, you'll have to sit through the same areas over and over, which can become pretty tedious. A more concrete visual aid, like a health bar, might have made these battles a little less frustrating, as you'd at least be able to gauge your progress while fighting them, because it is sometimes genuinely difficult to tell whether your strategy is working or not. One of Naja's neatest abilities is that she can cook. You collect all kinds of foodstuffs while exploring. You collect them by harvesting them from plants or by collecting them from fallen enemies. And you can also find hidden recipes for a variety of different foods, which are effectively potions. By combining the right foods, you can create meals that heal you, increase your movement speed, and other things like that. They've taken a fairly generic gameplay mechanic like item collection and given it a useful function, as well as a unique layer of depth, rarely seen even in commercial titles. It's a very neat touch. Aquaria's music is the best I've ever heard in any game ever. Period. Almost every area has its own unique sound, and they're an absolute pleasure to listen to. The music is simple and repetitive, but extremely aesthetic and melodic, and it's very easy to tell what kind of area you're in just by the tone of the music. If you're entering a very dangerous area, you'll probably be able to tell in a matter of seconds, just by listening to the music. Aquaria's voice work is also amazingly good. There's a few minor voices here and there, but there's only one major voice, that of Naja, voiced by Jenna Sharp. She has a beautiful and eloquent manner of speaking, and her high English accent may come off as quite exotic or even alien for the majority of Aquaria's players, which suits the tone and style of the game quite well. While the sound work is so great that you'll often want to close your eyes and just take it in, the quality of the graphics will keep you glued to the screen. The hand-drawn style graphics are simple, but have a wonderful and relaxing effect, and are frankly just absolutely beautiful. Looking at the game is a pleasure. The screen is often alive with all kinds of life and graphical effects, but thanks to the artistic style and the clever use of colour, it's always easy to identify every single thing on the screen. There was also a risk of the game looking overly repetitive, but the palette is actually quite diverse. There are blues and golds and browns and reds, and every area has its own plant life and decor, giving each area a unique feel. Aquaria is a gem. It has beautiful visuals, beautiful sound, a variety of excellent gameplay mechanics, all of which work extremely well together, and a coherent and well-told story that is well worth experiencing. Everything it sets out to do, it does extremely well. Aquaria is a game I find very easy to recommend to just about everyone.